The struggling Chicago Bears, coming off 2 straight losses and getting decimated by injuries and COVID as well, are going to be looking to turn the season around this weekend against the Tennessee Titans on Sunday. Before I begin talking about this matchup, I want to talk about my sponsor for this video, DraftKings Sportsbook. A lot of you guys keep on asking me, where do I bet on sports? Okay, I post a lot about my weekly bets, my parlays, my live bets, my prop bets. You know, I've been having a lot of fun over the past few months now betting on sports because I turned 21 this year, and you know, it's been a lot of fun just throwing some cash on random games, random stuff happening, and it just makes it a lot more interesting to watch random games that you don't have any stake in. So if you guys want to be just like me and bet on sports as well, if you want the best app to do that, I would highly recommend downloading DraftKings Sportsbook. It's the #1 top-rated sportsbook app in all of America. It's based right here in the USA, so you can rest assured that your funds are going to be completely safe and secure with them. You can withdraw and deposit money at any time you want at your own convenience, so it's really nice in all those regards. And I really love how beginner friendly the app actually is. Okay, if you don't know that much about sports betting, like I didn't know that much about sports betting just a couple months ago, this is the app for you because it's really simple to use. It has a very simple layout, very simple design, so you can easily see, like, if you put a certain amount of money on something happening, you can see how much money you would win if that thing actually happens. So very easy app to use, very good design as well. And if you want to download the app right now, there's a link down below in the description box that you can click to join. And when you join, be sure to use promo code DaWindyCity. Overall, it's a great app. I would not be recommending it if I didn't use it myself. So head on over to the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and check out all they have to offer because they have a ton of different bets you can possibly place. They have live betting, they have prop betting, and so much more. So be sure to find a bet that suits you the best. And if DraftKings Sportsbook is not available in your state right now, be sure to download the DraftKings Fantasy app because the DraftKings Fantasy app is giving away millions of dollars of prizes every single week. What's up, guys? I'm back with the Chicago Bears weekly prediction videos. This time I got a Week 9 matchup against the Tennessee Titans, another super tough football team for our Chicago Bears to face off against. It's been 3 games now in a row that have been against winning football teams, okay? The Rams, the Saints, and obviously now the Titans, okay? That's a really brutal 3-game stretch. So it's going to be a tall task for our Chicago Bears, who are honestly struggling a lot as of now, okay? Because like I mentioned earlier, we're coming off 2 straight losses, but more importantly, we're getting decimated by injuries all over the roster, and specifically on the offensive line. Our offensive line, guys, it already sucked to begin with. Our starters, they were bad to begin with, but now we are down to like our 3rd and 4th string linemen. Our best offensive lineman of the season, James Daniels, he is out for the entire year. Our right tackle, BOBBIE, MASSIE, is out for a month. Cody Whiter, he just got diagnosed with COVID, so he's going to be out for some time. Jermaine Ifedi, he's also on the COVID list right now, and unless he gets a few negative tests, he's also going to be out. If I look at the backups too, Jason Spriggs, he has COVID. He was our backup, I think, right tackle for a little bit, but he's going to be out. Sam MUSTIPHER, our backup center, he's going to be out with some type of injury. So, god damn, man, like, everybody on this offensive line is either injured or has COVID. So this is just, it's such a brutally bad thing for the Chicago Bears because we don't have that much depth at all on the offensive line since our starters already suck. So this weekend, guys, we could possibly have a starting offensive line of Charles Leno, Arlington Hambright, Alex Bars, Latavius Simmons, and Rashad Coward at right tackle. That is one of the worst offensive lines perhaps in Chicago Bears history, okay? Obviously, I'm not going to disrespect the rookies right now, Latavius Simmons and Arlington Hambright, because we don't know what they bring. They haven't played yet in the NFL, so perhaps they could shut us all up and play the game of their lives. But if I look at the probability of that happening, it's not very likely because usually 7th round rookies, they take a while to develop and they're going to make a lot of mistakes. So I am very worried for the offensive line, but it gets even worse when I look at the injury report for the entire team. If I read this report, guys, you're going to cringe, okay? Rashad Coward is on it. Tashawn Gibson is on it. Jimmy Graham, DeAndre Houston Carson, Eddie Jackson, John Jenkins, Anthony Miller, Roy Robertson Harris, Sam MUSTIPHER, Danny Trevathan, Mitch Trubisky. All of these guys are on the injury report. Okay, actually, I think Danny Trevathan he was only resting, so he's not injured. But the other guys, man, they're dealing with an injury of some sort. Now, I do have to talk about Mitch Trubisky. So, Mitch Trubisky, on the one play he was in on against the Saints, it was that pathetic run play that only went for 2 yards. He freaking injured his throwing shoulder. So, he's going to be out for some time now, perhaps a couple weeks. And we don't have a single good backup now on the team. Okay, we probably only have Tyler Bray now backing up Nick Foles. So we better pray to God that Nick Foles stays healthy because we don't even have Mitch now to back him up. So yeah, guys, the Chicago Bears are in chaos right now. All the energy, all the excitement from the 5-1 start, it's completely vanished. But if we can go into Tennessee and somehow beat this pretty tough Titans team, which is still possible, guys, because it is the NFL and anything can happen any given Sunday. So don't count out the Bears completely, but if we can somehow win this, guys, I mean, it would go a long way in renewing the fan base's confidence in this team and perhaps also saving our season, because you can't go on a 3-game losing streak in a tough conference like the NFC. If I look at our opponent, though, the Tennessee Titans, this is going to be a really tough football team to beat because their strengths match up very well with our weaknesses, okay? So our biggest weakness on the defense right now is definitely run defense, but their biggest strength by far is a rushing attack. Derrick Henry is the best running back in the NFL, so that's going to be a matchup that they're going to take advantage of. And if I look at their schedule too, they've been putting up a lot of points on their opposition. So they have one of the best offenses in the NFL. They seem to be putting up like 30, 40 plus points every week. They looked pretty bad against the Bengals last week though. So they lost that game 31-20, and that was also against some backup offensive linemen and a rookie quarterback. So that shows you how bad the Titans defense has been this year, okay? It's a very one-sided team. All the talent, all the dominance is on the offensive side of the football. So speaking about the offense, guys, I mean, if I give you guys some stats on the Titans offense, it's one of the best offenses in the NFL, like I mentioned earlier. So they're number 5 in yards per game. They average 407 yards per game. They're number 6 in points per game. They average 29.7 points per game. They're the number 18 passing offense and number 4 rushing offense. They're number 4 in DVOA, 21.8% DVOA. They're number 5 in yards per play. They average 6.2 yards per play, so they're getting a lot of big plays going down the field. They're number 3 in yards per carry. They average 5.1 yards per carry, obviously because of Derrick Henry, one of the best running backs in the NFL. But one pretty big stat is that they're number 28 in time of possession. So even though they're running the football very effectively, even though they have a great offense, they're scoring a little bit too fast and they're not keeping like a heavy time of possession, which is why their defense also has struggled so much, because their defense is on the field for a good portion of the game. If I look at this Titans offense, guys, the number 1 threat on this offense, the only reason why this offense is as dominant as it actually is Derrick freaking Henry, okay? Derrick Henry is why this offense actually functions. It's why the play action game works so well. It's why Ryan Tannehill has open targets going down the field. It's because all the defenders have to be in the box worried about the best running back in the league, Derrick Henry. So if I look at his stats, guys, I mean, Derrick Henry has 775 rushing yards, 8 rushing touchdowns, 4.8 yards per carry. I mean, he's been having a sensational season, bulldozing people, plowing through people, stiff-arming people to the ground. I mean, once he gets into the second level, he is literally impossible to bring down. So the Bears defense is going to really struggle with a guy like Derrick Henry, especially considering the fact that our run defense is already very bad. So Derrick Henry is by far the biggest threat on this offense. He's 238 pounds of pure muscle, pure strength. So he's going to be tough to bring down. But if I look at the other guys in this offense, they also have a tight end duo of Jonnu Smith and Anthony Firkser, who both of them have been like top 10 tight ends by a lot of the metrics, okay? In blocking, they're all pretty good. In receiving and run after the catch, they're also both pretty good. So this is why they're able to run a lot of 12 personnel, get a lot of 2 tight end sets going on the field. And that also helps the running game work too. But if I look at their stats, guys, you know, they have 497 yards and 6 touchdowns combined between the two of them. So both of them, man, they're threats going down the field. But Jonnu Smith is probably the guy I'm most worried about because he also has a speed element to his game, okay? He's one of the faster tight ends in the league, so he's going to be a tough guy to cover for the Bears defense. They also have one of the best receiving duos in the league as well, okay? They have both Corey Davis and AJ Brown, 2 of the best receiving options in the league. So this is why their passing attack works so well, guys. I mean, they have dominant tight ends, they have dominant receivers. If I look at the receiver stats right now, I mean, AJ Brown and Corey Davis combined, they have 725 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns as well. And both of them also are above average blockers. So that's another reason why their run game works so well. And, you know, Adam Humphries in the slot, he's been decent too. So they have so many weapons going down the field, so many big play threats. I mean, both the receivers, Corey Davis and AJ Brown, they have big catch radiuses. They're both super tall, have big bodies, have a decent amount of speed, have a lot of explosion as well, because both of them are still super young. I mean, this receiving duo and the tight end duo, it's going to be really hard for the Bears secondary to cover adequately. And if I look at Ryan Tannehill, guys, I mean, Ryan Tannehill is having one of the best seasons of his career so far, if not the best season. Because if I look at his numbers, guys, I mean, he's passing for 1,823 passing yards. He has 17 passing touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, and a passer rating of 109.8. I mean, those are near perfect numbers. Those are almost MVP level numbers. I know he has a really easy job considering the fact that he has the best running back in the NFL. He has tremendous blocking. He has great coaching. He has dynamic playmakers down the field in his receivers. He has great tight ends as well. So he's being put in the perfect position to succeed in the system, but he also fits the system really well. So it's a match made in heaven. The Titans defense, though, it is a totally different story. It is definitely not a match made in heaven. So if I look at the stats on this defense, they're number 25 in yards per game. They allow 396 yards per game. They're number 18 in points per game. They allow 26.3 points per game. They're number 27 in pass defense. They're number 22 in run defense. And in the red zone on third down and in sack percentage, they are among the worst teams in the NFL. So they're number 30 in the red zone, number 32 on third down, and number 31 in sack percentage. So as I mentioned before, the Titans defense is one of the worst in the entire NFL. It is the only reason why the Titans are not like the best team in the league. Because if you look at their offense, even with an average defense, they would easily be the best team in the NFL, but they don't have an average defense. They have one of the worst defenses in the league. And that's partly because of the fact that they don't have any sort of pass rush at all. They're not getting any pressure on the quarterback. I already talked about their number 31 in sack percentage. So they only have 7 sacks on the year in 7 games. That's only 1 sack per game. That's a very bad number. They only have 36 quarterback hits as well. They're bottom 3 in quarterback pressures. So they're not getting any pressure on the quarterback. And some of their best guys, Jadeveon Clowney and Jeffrey Simmons on the D-line, they might both be out for this game. They're dealing with injuries. So if both those guys are out, man, I mean, I don't see any sort of pass rush on this team at all. They have no ability at all to get to the quarterback, which is also why their secondary has struggled so much. I mean, the rookie cornerback, Chris Jackson, he plays in the slot. He's the worst DB in the entire NFL by a lot of different metrics like passer rating allowed, by completion percentage allowed. According to PFF, he's the worst graded cornerback too. So he's been very bad. Malcolm Butler and Christian Fulton have also not been the best of the best. They've been average at some times, but when you look at the pass rush that the Titans have, I mean, you can only cover these guys for so long. So their secondary is definitely struggling from the fact that they have no pass rush. Now, they did get Desmond King recently in a trade from the Chargers, but I believe he's not going to be playing in this game because there's a COVID protocol you have to go through. So we got kind of lucky with their best coverage guy right now, Desmond King, not playing against us. But overall, guys, I mean, it's a very bad defense that the Bears should definitely be able to score some points against. Speaking about the Bears scoring points, this is something that we have definitely not been doing the entire year. If I give you guys the stats on the Bears offense, we're number 29 in yards per game. We average 310 yards per game. We're number 28 in points per game. We average 20.1 points per game. We're number 22 in passing offense, number 31 in rushing offense, and we are probably the most unbalanced offense in the NFL. We run the football 22.5 times per game, but we pass the football 39.9 times per game. So we're number 29 in rush attempts, but number 3 in pass attempts, which is why our offense has struggled so much. We are so predictable this year, and we're bottom 5 in practically every single other major offensive category still. So like yards per play, DVOA, everything, we're bottom 5. This offense truly does suck, and it all comes down to the fact that we cannot block at all up front. I mean, that is the only thing that matters on this offense right now. I can talk all day about how great Allen Robinson has been. He has 631 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns too. I can talk all day about how David Montgomery leads the NFL in broken tackles. I can talk all day about how great Darnell Mooney, the rookie, has been this year, but none of it matters unless our offensive line can actually block throughout this game, which I don't know if they actually can, because we're going to have a lot of backups playing, a lot of guys starting their first career game in the NFL. So I really don't know what to expect out of this offensive line, which has already been so bad this year. And I'm not going to talk about anything else on this offense because unless we can block up front, nothing else truly matters. The numbers on the Bears defense, though, are a totally different story. So we're number 12 in yards per game allowed. We allow 348 yards per game. We're number 8 in points per game allowed. We allow 20.1 points per game. We're the number 13 pass defense and number 16 run defense. And we're pretty much top 5 in a lot of the major defensive categories. So in the red zone, we're number 1. On third down, we're number 1. In passer rating allowed, we're number 5. In DVOA, we're number 6. So negative 14%. So overall, we are a very solid defense this year, but we're not truly as dominant as I would like us to be, okay? Because we're not getting the same turnovers and the same sacks that we did get 2 years ago, because Chuck Pagano plays a bend but not break style of defense, okay? We're not as aggressive as other defenses are in this league, which is truly a shame because we have so much defensive talent all across the board. But I guess our coaching staff believes that we cannot score enough points on offense to keep up if our defense allows a big touchdown. So that's why we're number 22 in turnover percentage. We're number 19 in sack percentage. So we're not getting big time plays. We're not getting big time sacks. We are getting pressure on the quarterback, but I really feel like pressure is not good enough because we're still getting dotted up with these short 5 to 6 yard plays, which eventually lead to a lot of yards gained by the opposing offense. Now, yards allowed is not the worst thing in the world for a defense that is number 1 in the red zone. So we're not allowing a lot of points per game perhaps, but it would still be nice to not allow teams to drive down on us every single week. And, you know, if we did get more sacks, if we did get more turnovers, if we did get perhaps even more touchdowns like we did get 2 years ago. I know it's asking a lot from a defense, but you have to step up when your offense is as bad as it actually is right now. Khalil Mack is the best player on this defense by far, definitely the best player on this team too, because he has 6.5 sacks, 33 quarterback pressures. He's the only guy that's been consistently showing up every single game. So a lot of great things we're seeing from Khalil Mack. Our secondary has been truly dominant for the large portion of the season. I mean, Kyle Fuller and Jalen Johnson, even though Jalen Johnson did have a few slip-ups in the last game, both of them have still been some of the best cornerbacks in the game. So a lot of great things from our corners. And I also like that Danny Trevathan and Roquan Smith, they have truly been showing up the last few games, specifically Danny Trevathan, okay? Danny Trevathan had a bad start to 2020, but he's had a stretch now of some pretty nice games. And obviously Roquan Smith, we already knew what he could do, but he's turning into an all-pro type of player so far this year. I mean, last game he could have had a game-winning pick 6 too. That would have definitely put him over the top in a lot of people's linebacker rankings, but nonetheless, he's still been a top 5 linebacker this year. So a lot of great things from our linebackers, our secondary, and our, you know, pass rush too. So overall, still a very good defense, but it could be a little bit better if we did get more aggressive. Let me start talking about the matchups now in this game. What are the big matchups for the Bears and the Titans to look out for? And perhaps the biggest matchup, obviously the matchup that favors the Titans the most in this game, is going to be Derrick Henry versus the Bears front 7, okay? Unless the Bears front 7 can truly clamp down on Derrick Henry at the beginning of this game and throughout the entirety of this game, they're not going to have a good day on defense, because if we allow Derrick Henry to run all over us, there's not going to be much we can actually do to stop this Titans offense. And it starts all up front, okay? I know we don't have Eddie Goldman. It would be so nice to have Eddie Goldman in the middle for a game like this, but the other guys, they're going to have to step up, because if you allow Derrick Henry to get into the second level, I don't trust our secondary to actually bring him down, because few secondaries have done that. And we don't have the best of the best tackling also in the secondary. I mean, Kyle Fuller, that's probably the only guy I truly trust to bring down a guy like Derrick Henry. But everybody else, like Eddie Jackson, Jalen Johnson, I mean, they've been getting trucked at certain times in their career. So it's going to be up to our linebackers and our D-line to prevent Derrick Henry from getting into the second level and abusing our cornerbacks and our safeties. The next matchup I want to talk about is going to be Nick Foles versus the Titans secondary. Okay, I already talked about how bad the Titans pass rush and their secondary and their entire defense has been this year. It's one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and perhaps the easiest defense that Nick Foles has faced since the Falcons in week 3, in which he dotted up that Falcons defense. Okay, he could have thrown for, 5 touchdowns in a single half if a few plays went a little bit differently. So Nick Foles, I mean, this is truly his opportunity to prove himself and what he brings to a team like the Chicago Bears. I know we don't have great blocking at all. He's going to be getting killed at certain points in this game, but it's going to be up to him to find the open guy. The few times that he does get adequate blocking, okay, there are going to be a few points in this game where Nick Foles will have a clean pocket to throw from, and in those few times, those few plays, he's going to have to take full advantage of them. There's going to be a lot of wide open receivers going down the field, because I trust Anthony Miller, Allen Robinson, and Darnell Mooney to get open behind this pretty poor secondary. Like, guys are going to be open going down the field. It's just up to Nick Foles to deliver the ball to them, even under pressure at some points in this game. He was pretty bad under pressure against the Saints. The same thing cannot happen this weekend against the Titans. And finally, the last matchup I want to talk about is going to be Kyle Fuller and Jalen Johnson versus Corey Davis and A.J. Brown. 2 of the best cornerbacks in the game versus 2 of the best receivers in the game. And I think that whoever wins this matchup, if our cornerbacks can actually hold their receivers to, under like 50, 60 yards each, like that would be the only way in which the Bears could potentially hold this Titans offense to not scoring a lot of points, because you have to shut down either the run or the pass. You cannot have both things working against you on this Titans offense. Otherwise, you're going to get absolutely shredded pretty quickly. So if we can at least shut down the pass to some extent, if our cornerbacks can do a decent job on these pretty good receivers, and we can make Ryan Tannehill into having, a pretty mediocre day at the best, that would give us a much higher chance of winning this game. And finally, let's get to my score prediction for this game. Who do I have winning this matchup? And I have to say that I have the Chicago Bears losing this one by a score of 26-23 in Tennessee. Unfortunately, it's one of the only losses I've picked for the Bears so far this year. I picked us to lose the Buccaneers game and also this game as well. So, hey, maybe I'm going to reverse jinx it, okay? Maybe if I pick a loss, we're going to win now. But regardless, man, I just cannot pick the Bears to win this game from a football mindset, because we have so many damn injuries on the offensive line, an offensive line that already sucked. And I just don't understand how we're going to stop Derrick Henry, okay? Our run defense has been pretty bad, so it's such a tremendous matchup disadvantage, okay? The Titans have such a great rushing attack. We have such a bad run defense. So they're going to be able to put up some points on us, and our offense has not been consistent enough where I think they can score enough points to outlast an offense like this. So even though the Titans defense is so freaking bad, and I do have us scoring 23 points still, I don't think we're going to get above 28 or 30 plus, which a good offense actually would. So that is why I have us losing this game. But I do have to say that it is going to be a close matchup, and I still will not count the Bears out completely, because that would be a dumb thing to do. It is the NFL, like I mentioned earlier. It's any given Sunday. Any crazy thing could happen. So somehow, even with all these injuries, the Bears could still win it. And obviously, I'm going to be rooting for the Bears 100% to win this and prove me wrong. But from a football mindset, looking at it from an analytical point of view, I cannot pick the Bears to win. My offensive MVP for this game is actually going to be Nick Foles. Okay, the quarterback Nick Foles, a guy that a lot of people have been criticizing over the past few weeks, rightfully so, because he has turned the ball over at a pretty high rate, and he hasn't been a huge upgrade over Trubisky so far. I think he's going to shut up a lot of people, because going up against a pretty poor pass defense like this one, he should have a few moments even with the poor blocking we're going to have, okay? So I have him passing for 270 passing yards and having 2 touchdowns as well. And he's not going to do crazy things in an offense this bad, but if he can just not turn the ball over, that's going to give us a much higher chance of winning the game. My defensive MVP for this game is going to be Khalil Mack, because I really cannot pick anybody else logically at this point in time, because he's been the best player on defense practically every single game this year. So I don't know why we should not expect that dominance to continue. So I have him getting 1.5 sacks and, doing the same things he's been doing pretty much the entire year. So great day by Khalil Mack, and great day also, hopefully, by Nick Foles. But yeah, guys, that pretty much wraps up my video. I apologize. I feel like I'm not being as energetic or as hyped up as I usually am in these prediction videos, but that's mainly because I still don't know if this game is actually even going to be played because of the COVID outbreak that we have. And just with all the injuries on the roster right now and going up against another pretty tough team, it's hard to be as hyped as it was earlier. But you guys better believe that I'm going to be cheering as hard as I have been the past couple weeks for this team on Sunday. And I still think we do have a small chance of winning. So don't lose all hope just yet. A big shout out to all my Hall of Fame members on my YouTube channel. So big shout out to Kristen Megan, Wyatt Freiberger, Keith Luckett, Stacks, Michael Horwitz, ACG, Ryan Pass, and Scotty McLean. I appreciate all you guys so much and the support you guys give to this channel. If you want to become a member, there's a link down below in the description box, which you can click to join for some extra benefits. So that's pretty much it. Let's hope the Bears pull off a miracle. And as always, bear down.